Good afternoon, everyone. We'll call to order the meeting of the Pennsylvania Game Commission for September. First item on the agenda is if we could all rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the roll call of commissioners. Mr. Secretary, if you could call the attendance.
Scott Fedora,
Here.
Dennis Fredericks,
Here.
Alan DeMarco, here. Stanley Knick,
Here.
Kristen Koppenhever,
Here.
Michael Mittrick,
Here.
Todd Pride,
Here.
Haley Sankey,
Here.
Robert Schwalm.
Here.
All present, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Okay, we'll start this meeting with public comment. Steve, if you want to call the people up, thank you.
First up, we have Michael Riddle.
At the opening day of deer season, but we'll refrain. So, I've spoken here before, and many of y'all know that I hunt multiple states, and last year we became CWD Area 6396.
Sir, could you get the microphone a little closer?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Last year we became part of 6396 CWD zone. So it was the first time I've seen Pennsylvania's response to CWD. We had the additional DMAP tags, and where I see maybe a flaw in the system is with the additional tags. The people of my community really, I mean, I live in farmland community. We didn't kill any more deer than we usually do. Nobody took advantage of the additional tags, and are kind of on the private land. The public land, on the other hand, seemed to see the majority of the additional tags. Where the private land obviously is going to have a much larger population. I mean, I believe in CWD. I believe it's going to change the way we hunt as future progresses. It already changes, like I have to debone deer before I bring them back, and skull cap, clean the skull cap, stuff like that. So, but I feel like the DMAP tags for the CWD areas kind of missed the mark. It misses the people that it's targeting. I don't know how we pinpoint people on private land more than to try to get them to use them. But that would be my suggestion, is to look more towards the people on private land. Maybe, I don't know if you'd make them private land only, or maybe give the people that have an address that falls in a CWC zone, just give them an additional tag on their license. Not statewide, just the CWD areas. And I think that would it would help lower the population in those areas. We're trying to lower the population. That's really all I got, guys. All right. You guys have a good day.
John Bingaman.
Morning, Commissioners. Executive Director Smith. Did not prepare a speech for you guys today, but I'd like to recap on some of the things that I wrote in the July quarterly meeting speech. We would love to see mentored youth age lower, down to 4 or 5 years old. We're seeing a lot of people, or I'm getting a lot of our people that they would love to have their kid have a tag. Especially in the higher CWD area zones, where they can continue to fill more deer tags. 4B, for example, there's still a lot of doe tags left, so we should be able to fill them, hopefully, and especially if we lowered that age, that would be a very good thing for everybody. Another thing I'd like to say to you guys is thank you for having that meeting with everybody. It was very informational, very good. I believe that we got a lot of stuff accomplished that day. Recap on a couple things that were in there is we would like to see that you can register to vote on the Game Commission website or whenever you buy your hunting or fishing license on huntfishpa.gov. There might be a lapse, and I'm willing to work with whoever I need to work with to figure out how to go from a state site to a non-state site back to a state site, or if we have to go to third party, I'll do whatever I need to do there. Another thing is, and it was brought up by somebody in my administration, and the commissioners that were there that day heard this, the starting date for the late season for rifle that is on January 2nd in certain WMUs. You guys do a great job with opportunity. The Saturday deer rifle opener is one that boosts opportunity for all. Can we, if the season's harvest this year allows it, possibly do that start date on December 26th of next year? That would create more opportunity, especially because your college kids are home, your high school kids and elementary and up are off school. Just gives them a little bit more time afield with mom and dad, grandpa, aunt, and uncle. And I'd like to start and continue some conversations with some of you guys on allowing the use of semi-automatic rifles for big game. I know some of you guys, or a lot of you guys, are up in the air about it, and I'd like to talk to you guys more, whether it's restrictions on certain things, caliber restrictions, magazine restrictions, obviously, and go from there on that. So that's all I got. I hope you guys have a great day and have a good rest of the meeting.
Thank you, John. Mike Kreiner.
Well, welcome. Again, appreciate the opportunity to come here and do public comment. Kind of getting back into tradition here, I just want to say thank you again to the board, the staff. The fact that you guys allowed for this public comment is so helpful. And, had our July board meeting, I probably was a little bit out of character, but I will say this. I value the relationship with each of you. And I probably have spoken to almost everyone up here on the at the board level and on the staff level since that meeting. Communication's key, and I can't thank you enough for taking the time to talk to me and try to get me to understand kind of what I might have gotten wrong or what I might have gotten right the last time when I spoke here. Different perspective is key. And so I can't thank you enough. Steve's done a wonderful job, and Crescenda of kind of trying to let me know what you guys are up to. From the Federation's perspective, we're here to help. And the work that you guys have done just in the last 3 to 4 months is amazing. Dave Gustafson and Matt Moret came over to the Federation's quarterly meeting last Saturday. We erred by not having a video camera there. Dave and Matt did an incredible job of kind of putting onto paper some of the work that you, from a commissioner perspective, were aware of what the staff was doing. That some of it wasn't known in the general public at the time. So what I will say is thank you. I think message sent loud and clear. To John's point, as far as the NGO meeting that you guys had, it sounds like it'll be one of many, was very helpful. So I think the different way of you guys, moving forward and kind of thinking out of the box a little bit as far as increasing lines of communication, I think is great. Message sent, very positive from the Federation and other NGOs' perspectives. So want to say thank you for that. Very helpful. On the legislative front, open fields doctrine, the Federation has let the legislative folks know that we're supportive of where the commission is as far as being supportive of the open fields doctrine. We're also supportive of the Saturday opener and all of the seasons of bag limits that you've adopted, including the 3 Saturdays you've picked. We appreciate where you're at. We stand behind you to kind of support you in your mission at the General Assembly. Also supportive of the Sunday hunting and trespass ag programs. See Cody here, all the work he's done on it. The commission has done a lot of good things in that package, and the general public might not be aware of it. But thinking out of the box, working with Senator Rothman and others to, the idea as far as matching qualified hunters with farmers, I think the commission's done a wonderful job there. So, the message today is, keep it in the family. Sometimes we don't always see things the same way. Different perspectives helpful. We still love you, and we appreciate the fact of what you guys do. So, and that goes from the board level and the staff level. So thank you for the time and appreciate what you're doing to support us. And I think the Game Commission has really helped our members and the hunters and the future hunters. You've put us in a really great position. So thank you for your efforts. Thanks.
Mr. President, that concludes public comment.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you to all that presented. Appreciate your time. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the meeting held July 12th, 2024. They've been circulated for your review. Is there any additions or corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Fedora,
Yes, approved.
Mr. Fredericks,
Yes.
Mr. DeMarco, yes. Mr. Knick,
Yes.
Mrs. Copenhaver,
Yes.
Mr. Mitrick,
Yes.
Mr. Pride,
Yes.
Mrs. Sankey,
Yes.
and Mr. Swallow.
Yes.
All yeses. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Okay.
All right, that brings us to the main body of the agenda. The first item up for consideration is from the Bureau of Wildlife Management, and it concerns the adopted rulemaking to amend 58 PA Code Section 133.21. To effectively manage the wildlife resources of this Commonwealth, the Commission, at its July 12, 2024 meeting, amended Section 133.21 to update the common and scientific names of the northern goshawk to American goshawk on the Commonwealth's list of endangered birds. These changes do not affect the protection or management of goshawks within this Commonwealth, but updates the Commonwealth's list to reflect the current taxonomic resolution of each species, maintaining the agency's science-based approach to wildlife management. This amendment is now before the Commission for final adoption. The text of these amendments can be found on page 3 of your agenda.
Any questions or anything? Oh, excuse me, I'm ahead of myself. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Okay, now is there any questions or comments, or Dr. Snoop, any comments from you? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Secretary, if you could call the vote.
Those in favor of the said motion?
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
The next item up for consideration is from the Bureau of Wildlife Protection. It concerns the adopted rulemaking to amend 58 PA Code, Section 147.103. To effectively manage the wildlife resources of this Commonwealth, the Commission, at its July 12, 2024 meeting, amended Section 147.103 relating to classes to decrease the minimum age eligibility threshold for a general class falconry permit from 18 years of age to 16 years of age. This amendment is now before the Commission for final adoption, and the texts of these amendments can be found on page 5 of your agenda.
Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Jason, anything? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Secretary, if you could call the vote, please.
Those in favor of the amendment as stated, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
And the next item up for consideration is from the Bureau of Wildlife Habitat Management and concerns contract number 40435 in Lebanon County. Lebanon County Beagle Club has declared a restriction that if the club ever ceases to exist, the property owned by the club, consisting of almost 203 acres, would be given to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania solely for the use of the Pennsylvania Game Commission, as shown on Exhibit Red 1 on page 7 of your agenda. This action does not take effect unless and until the club dissolves. However, gifts are revocable in Pennsylvania until accepted, and the club has requested the commission to publicly accept the declaration of restrictions, which is on file in the Lebanon County where the club is located. This would effectively make the gift of future interest irrevocable by future club members and ensure that the property would come to the Commonwealth upon dissolution of the club.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Any second?
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion? Comments? Okay, hearing no discussion. Mr. Secretary, if you could call the vote.
Those in favor of the stated motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
The next item up for consideration concerns contract number 3882 involving State Game Lands 203 in Allegheny County. Allegheny Land Trust is offering for sale 280 plus or minus acres of land in Indiana Township, Allegheny County, near State Game Land 203, as shown in Exhibit Red 2 on page 9 of your agenda. This offer is contingent upon ALT successfully closing on its acquisition of the property. The option price is $1,295,000 lump sum to be paid from the game fund. This parcel is located in a county of the second class, and therefore the commission may exceed $400 per acre as per section 705 of the Game and Wildlife Code. This property meets a strategic priority of being near a large city, in this case Pittsburgh. It runs along Deer Creek, a stocked trout tributary of the Allegheny River. It contains several species of greatest conservation need, and it will preserve and provide a buffer for the Rachel Carson Trail. Access is along the Cove Run Road.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
Motion is seconded. Any discussion? Dave, if you'd like to make a comment?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd just like to say that, this is indicative of our strategies of land acquisition. They're very targeted. We've been working really hard to try to find some suitable, valuable lands in Allegheny County near our population centers, closer to people. I'd like to say thanks to Kathy Mummert, Ken Dern, the real estate team, their work with Allegheny Land Trust, because if you notice, historically, a lot of these types of properties were only able to go after them with partners. And Allegheny Land Trust led the charge on this with this agreement and brought us in as the ultimate owner down the line. So we're very thankful for our partners. I think this will generate a lot of interest. When you climb to the top of the hill on this property, you can see the city of Pittsburgh. So pretty special piece of property.
Thank you, Dave, and thank you to your team, and really appreciate it. It will help allow more access to the urban population, so thank you. Any other questions?
I have
Yes,
a question,
Commissioner Pride.
Scott. Dave, who's the owner of the property, either currently or before Allegheny acquires it?
It's privately held
Privately
currently.
held?
Yes.
Okay. And just to kind of tag to that, I mean, with what Allegheny is doing with this, I know we've talked a lot about some of the opportunities down in the southeast area. Just kind of a point that it could be an opportunity, given the number of land trusts that are down in our southeast area,
Yep.
to potentially access, through acquisition or donation or something we should look at. I know we've got one county that doesn't have a game land in it that I'm actively looking at in Delaware County. So, but just something to think about as an opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, Mr. Secretary, if you could call the vote.
Those in favor of the stated motion, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
The next item up for consideration concerns contract number L3883, involving state game land 80 in Berks County. The Conservation Fund is offering for sale 116 acres of land in Bethel Township, Berks County, adjacent to state game land 80, as shown on Exhibit Red 3 on page 11 of your agenda. This offer is contingent upon TCF successfully closing on its acquisition of the property. The option price is $500,000 lump sum to be paid from the game fund. The parcel improves property integrity and manageability by providing access to the existing game lands, and therefore the commission may exceed $400 per acre as per 705 of the Game and Wildlife Code. It contains several species of greatest conservation need, and the 500 Steps Trail has an easement on the property to access the Appalachian Trail. Access is along State Route 501, Lancaster Avenue.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Discussion.
I'll just say another one with a great partner that we do a lot of things with down in Berks County, not quite down in Delaware County yet, but southeast anyway. Again, close to people and a high priority for us.
Thank you to you and your staff. Any other questions?
David, I have a question. On it, it says the property has access to the Appalachian Trail. Is the Showers 500 Steps Trail, is that the Appalachian Trail, or is that different?
I'm sorry, the 500 Steps Trail will lead you to the Appalachian Trail. So there is going to be parking for the people that want to use the 500 Steps Trail. And as soon as you get up onto our greenlands, that's where the Appalachian Trail then goes across.
Okay.
I didn't designate it on that, I'm sorry.
That's all right, thanks. And I have a question on this previous property, the Beagle Club donation. It shows a picture of where it's located. It says it's in Lebanon County, then it shows state game, this is on page 7. It shows state game lands 80 in the upper corner of that picture. And this is the same state game lands, or are there a couple, as the one on page 11?
So,
Are there a couple of different parcels of state game lands, 80?
Correct. As many of our state game lands have multiple disconnected parcels, Game Lands 80 is
Okay.
one of those
All right.
that has some of those parcels.
Thanks.
Other questions? Okay, Mr. Secretary, if you could call the vote, please.
Those in favor of the stated motion, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. Mr. President, the motion carries.
Thank you.
The next item up for consideration concerns contract number 3884, State Game Lands 157 in Bucks County. Natural Lands Trust, NLT, is offering for sale 4 ± acres of land in Haycock Township, Bucks County, an indenture in State Game Land 157, as shown on Exhibit Red 4 on page 13 of your agenda. This offer is contingent upon NLT successfully closing on its acquisition of the property. The option price is $52,000 lump sum to be paid from the game fund. The parcel is an indenture to the state game land number 157, and therefore the commission may exceed $400 per acre as per 705 of the Game and Wildlife Code. Access is through existing state game land 157.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Yep, thank you. Motion is seconded. And discussion, comments?
David, I have a question. It shows that there's 4 acres there, and then there's still a dark spot in the middle, and I assume that we do not own that.
Correct, still privately held.
Is there any possibility of obtaining that, or?
We'd like to think there's always possibilities to work with partners to acquire places like that. As you all know, interiors like that are high priority targets for us. So we would certainly be interested in working with the owners there to come to some sort of arrangement.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? If not, Mr. Secretary, could you call the vote, please?
Those in favor of the stated vote, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. Mr. President, the motion carries.
Thank you.
The next item up for consideration concerns contract number L3885 involving state game land 139 in Bucks County. Natural Lands Trust, NLT, is offering for sale 1.9 ± acres of land in East Rock Hill Township, Bucks County, an indenture into State Game Land 139, as shown on Exhibit Red 5 on page 15 of your agenda. This offer is contingent upon NLT successfully closing on its acquisition of the property. The option price is $27,000 lump sum to be paid from the game fund. The parcel is an indenture into State Game Land 139, and therefore the commission may exceed $400 per acre as per Section 705 of the Game Wildlife Code. Access is through existing State Game Land 139.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is seconded. Discussion or comments? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Secretary, call the vote, please.
Those in favor of the stated motion, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. Mr. President, the motion carries.
Thank you.
The next item up for consideration concerns contract number 3886 involving State Game Land 77 in Clearfield County. The City of DuBois and DuBois City Water Authority are offering 204 plus or minus acres of land located in Union and Houston Townships, Clearfield County, adjoining State Game Land 331, as shown on Exhibit Red 6 on page 17 of your agenda. In exchange for 187 plus or minus acres of land in Sandy Township, Clearfield County, adjoining State Game Land number 77, as shown on Exhibit 7 on page 18 of your agenda. There is no access to this 187-acre tract, as it is landlocked and separated from the rest of State Game Land 77 by Interstate 80. The Commission determined that the exchange with the City of DuBois and the DuBois City Water Authority is in the best interest of the Commission.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion, comments? I have a comment. I'm from close to this area, and Dave, very good trade. Quite familiar. It was not very usable land, and you got a nice piece contingent to a large game land.
Yes, and just by way of reference, the land we're getting is only about 7 air miles away from the land we're trading away. So you can't fit it all on the same map, but it's not that far away. So
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Secretary, please call the vote.
Those in favor of the stated vote, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. Mr. President, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
You may have seen that there were a number of inserts provided at the front of the room. We are now going to move forward with the consideration concerning contract number L3888 involving State Game Land 79, Indiana County. This is shown as an informational item subject to certain limitations. 58 PA Code Section 135-241 authorizes the director to bid on real estate, oil, gas, or mineral rights at auction or tax sale, and to request down payment checks to bid on property at auction. Successful bids must be made known to the general public at the next regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Commissioners. On July 26, 2024, Executive Director Stephen Smith notified the Board of the Commissioners of the pending repository tax sale of August 27, 2024, and the urgent need to react to the sale of coal rights located under a portion of State Game Land 79. On August 28, 2024, the Commission was the successful bidder on the coal rights being offered at tax sale by Richard G. McHenry et al. And John D. Stewart et al. And George B. McHenry et al. The coal rights are located in Buffington Township, Indiana County, and under a portion of State Game Land 79, as shown on Exhibit Red 8 on the next page of your insert. The subsurface rights encompass 164 plus or minus acres and was acquired with a successful bid of $3,115. The lump sum is to be paid from the game fund. As stated, this is an informational item only, therefore no action by the board is required. The next item is also an insert, again provided at the front of the room. This concerns contract number 3887 involving State Game Lands 303 in Washington County. For Green, JEM LP is offering 264 plus or minus acres of land in Jefferson Township, Washington County, adjacent to State Game Land number 303, as shown in Exhibit Red 9 of the next page of your insert. The option price is $738,000 lump sum to be paid from the game fund. The parcel will be used to access existing landlocked game lands, and therefore the commission may exceed $400 per acre as specified under 705 of the Game Wildlife Code. This parcel will improve property integrity and manageability by providing critical access to an otherwise inaccessible portion of State Game Land 303. It will also double the size of the existing game lands. Oil and gas rights have been reserved. Access is from Shades of Death Road.
This is information. Or do we need
It's
I need a motion. Yep. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion or questions? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Secretary, please call the vote.
Those in favor of the stated motion, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. Mr. President, the motion carries.
Thank you.
We'll now be returning to page 20 of the agenda. And the next item up for consideration is bituminous coal surface mining agreement for tract 198A-24 of State Game Lands 198 in Cambria and Blair counties. RES Coal LLC, RES, of Armagh, Pennsylvania, requested an agreement to surface mine and remove coal from approximately 117 plus or minus acres beneath a portion of State Game Land 198, located in Crescent Township, Cambria County, and Juniata Township, Blair County, as shown in Exhibit OGM-1 on page 21 of your agenda. The request also includes approximately 9 plus or minus acres for mining support area. The Commission owns the surface and surface support rights but does not own the coal rights. RES has secured a lease with the coal owner. The Commission negotiated the proposed terms of the agreement with RES to offset the surface impacts to State Game Land 198. The terms are an 8-year surface mining agreement and payment of $3,200,000. The payment will be made in equal annual installments over the first 4 years commencing upon issuance of the surface mine permit. Payments will be deposited into the Commission's restricted account for future purchase of wildlife habitats, lands, and other uses incidental to hunting, fur taking, and wildlife resource management. In addition, RES will pay the Commission $475,007 towards a road construction project that will provide public access to this portion of State Game Land number 198, for which none currently exists. RES will also pay the Commission 25 cents a ton for any coal mined from the adjacent property not owned by the Commission as part of this operation and transported across State Game Land 198. Additionally, RES will pay the Commission current market value as determined at double stumpage rate assessed by the Commission for any timber removed as a result of the mining project. These collective payments will be directly deposited into the game fund. Mining activities will be regulated by the Commonwealth's mining regulations and the Commission's bituminous coal surface mining agreement.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. Comments, questions, or Dave, if you'd like to explain a little bit.
Yeah, so just a couple things to make clear. We do not own the coal rights under this portion of game lands. As often happens, and as evidenced by the notational or the informational item that we just saw where we went out and purchased coal rights under a game lands to rejoin them with our surface ownership, we have these situations all across game lands in the state where we may own the surface but not own the subsurface rights, whether it's coal, oil, natural gas, things like that. So we are going to be subject to suffering these impacts one way or another. So I can't say thank you enough to our team in the OGM division. They've worked with Robindale RES Coal for probably the better part of a year to come to an arrangement where the impacts to the game land surface and the users of our state game lands are going to be fairly compensated for that. So that's where the payments for the surface mitigation come in, the additional payments for any wheelage of coal that will come across game lands from off-site and other landowners, and any timber that has to be removed. They were also willing to work with us to help us create a new road access into that portion of game lands where we currently have none. So trying to make the lemonade, so to speak, out of the lemons that we get dealt sometimes with the varied ownership of assets. So yeah, just thanks to the team for putting together what we believe to be a very strong deal for the benefit of wildlife and sportsmen.
Thank you. Questions?
Yeah,
Scott,
one more.
Yes. Okay, Kristen.
Dave, who's going to handle the road construction project? Are we doing that in-house, or that $475,000 that they're putting towards that?
We will handle the specification design layout. That's why they're sending the money to us essentially to contribute towards the project. We will likely contract that out. There may be portions of that will be done in-house with our own habitat management crews, but likely for a road like that, it'll get contracted out. But we'd like to be in control of how that happens.
Commissioner Pride?
Yeah, Dave, what do you see as the range of the surface impact possibilities?
I would say likely a complete turnover in that red hashed area. And additionally, the mining area extends further than our boundary, so onto neighboring landowners, as coal rights parcels often don't end or start where surface parcel lines are. They're often crossing multiples. So to be clear also, if you can see on that map, it shows to the south an old strip mined area that even shows up on the topo map. The area immediately to the west of the red hashed area is currently being mined now. So that has all been essentially turned upside down. So we're looking at the future of this landscape going from a forested landscape to likely a grassland habitat landscape.
Okay. All right, great, thank you.
Other questions? If not, Mr. Secretary, could you call the vote, please?
Those in favor of the stated motion, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. Mr. President, the motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you, Dave, for your team and your efforts. Appreciate it. Okay, next agenda item is other new business. The first thing that we'd like to do under other new business is invite Jason Dukoski, the head of the Wildlife Protection Bureau. Jason is going to give us an overview. The commissioners asked Jason to give an overview both for us and the public on agricultural depredation permits and what's available to the agricultural community. So Jason, go ahead.
Thank you. And what I'm doing is I'm handing out a copy of the PowerPoint that I'm going to present. This is a summation of laws and regulations for agriculture deer control options. Unfortunately, sometimes this is like an underutilized option that our farmers have available to them. So I just wanted to bring this up to the board's attention and give. All right, starting over. I just want to give a summation of the laws and regulations that deal with agriculture deer control and some of the options that our farmers have to manage deer. A lot of these are underutilized, and you'll see that in the numbers that I present. So going forward, currently there's 5 options for landowners. The first 2, destruction for agricultural protection and depredation permits to sub-permittees. Those are found in the statutory law. And I'll go over all 5 of these as I go through my slide show here, but the next 2, agriculture deer control ag and deer management assistance program, those are both regulatory matters that as board members you can change if you chose to. And then of course we're all familiar with the regular seizing and how we hunt for, in this case, deer. But just keep in mind, these ag deer control measures, the statutory law it's not specifically for deer. So any changes to that statutory law will also affect other big game species such as elk and bear and turkey. All right, so for the first one, this is what we typically call crop damage. So Title 34, Chapter 21 goes into what farmers can do for destruction. In that section, or in that statute, it talks about a person. A person is defined in Section 2121C as those who cultivate as a primary means of gaining a livelihood any lands for general or specialized crop purposes. A person may take wildlife that they engaged in that they see engaged in material destruction of cultivated crops immediately following destruction or where their presence may cause reasonable apprehension of additional imminent destruction. Once qualified as a person, the district game warden must inspect the property for compliance with this section. This will be accomplished via invitation from the person seeking the exemption under the statute. So basically, as it is now, the farmers will call our centralized dispatch and request to be able to shoot for crop damage. And this is the invitation that our game wardens will pursue. The other section in here, as we talk about a person, it says a primary means of gaining a livelihood through cultivation of their land. There's a lot of discussion of what exactly does it mean by a primary means of a livelihood. Does it have to be the primary means of a livelihood? No. It should be enough that they have to report their income on taxes. So it is a sizable amount that they make off of their land, but it's not the only income that these farmers receive. Agricultural producers or employees can shoot any deer at any time, no limit. So as an agency, we need to do a little bit better work on, keeping track of how many deer are shot for crop damage. And I believe that's going to be a future discussion, at least from my end, from law enforcement, talking with the regions and our personnel. And I'll get over some of the numbers we do have, but crop damage is one of those issues where the farmers report directly to the officer, and that's the report. There's no paperwork or anything after that. The officers are the ones that receive those deer reports. So I'll have to come up with a better way to keep track of that. Unlimited deer of either sex can be removed year-round, any time of the day or night. This includes spotlights. This includes safety zones. This is one of those greatest avenues that I think a lot of farmers are using, but not to the full intent. They have the capability there, and the next part will add to this. And as I go through this slide presentation, all these programs can add to each other to effectively say you can shoot deer year-round if you're receiving damages. So those eligible, like I said earlier, must prove that the cultivated lands are a primary means of gaining a livelihood, and two, provide satisfactory evidence that the material damage to crops was done by deer. So we do have farmers that get other types of crop damage from other animals, and we just need to validate that it is a deer. We do have bear damage. We have all these other types of issues. Elk cause damage. You name it, it can cause damage. So we need to validate their claims. Any deer killed must be reported to the commission within 24 hours and field dressed. So we don't want these deer. A lot of these deer are being shot during the summer months. It doesn't take long for deer to spoil. We want to make use out of that deer. If we can get them to a food bank, if we can get them to a needy family, that's why we need these deer field dressed, so our officers have the time to recover them and take them to the places to get full use out of them. If an eligible person allows public access to hunting on their property, then they can keep one deer carcass for their consumption. They must surrender the hide and head, to include antlers, in the full carcass of all deer beyond their one allowed carcass to the commission. Again, that's statutory. If your land is not open to hunting, you cannot keep it. You have to turn over all of the carcasses.
Jason, statutory for
Statutory.
the public listening is to define what that is.
So statutory law would require a legislative change to the law. So yes, the board can take questions and give their input to the legislators for them, legislators to make the change. That's about all the board can do. The board can do regulatory matters, which we'll get into here shortly, very shortly. But statutory, it will take legislation to change.
Thank you, Jason.
Yeah. Okay. the second part, this is adding on to the crop damage by farmers. Agricultural damage depredation permits to sub-permittees. So agricultural producers can identify 2 people to shoot any deer at any time, to include any limit. So basically, this permit extends that person definition to 2 additional people that the farmer may seek to help them shoot for depredation. So whatever the farmer could shoot, these 2 additional people or sub-permittees by the regulation will allow them to shoot at any time at night, to include safety zones, and they have to report just like the farmers. They, however, cannot keep deer for their consumption. Everything is 100% turned over to the local state game warden. There is a maximum of 2 sub-permittees per permit unless approved by the state game warden. If you can document that you need further assistance, it's a large farm, or it's just you can't get enough help continuously, you can document that and provide it to the state game warden. They may grant you a waiver to increase that from 2 to 3 to whatever number they deem fit. As I said, sub-permittees can shoot at any deer at any time. Sub-permittees must report any deer taken, just like the farmers, but must surrender the entire carcass, including the head, hide with the antlers. The application is through the state game warden. There are some other cursory regulations that could go with this, because our officers will be checking to make sure these 2 additional sub-permittees meet all the other requirements of the regulations set forth. And I highlighted that up in yellow on the screen. So even though this is established statutorily, the majority of that language up there is regulatory. So that means that the board can make adjustments to that as they seem fit. But currently, you would think a lot of people would be taking advantage of this program. Throughout the state right now, as of yesterday, there's only 31 permits. Like I said, this is an underutilized aspect of deer depredation. And those permits are broken down up there. There's 8 in the northwest, 4 in the southwest, 1 in the northeast, and 18 in the southeast. So.
Can I ask a question here
Yes.
real quick? So in those bullet points you had there below number 2, are those all regulatory in nature underneath?
Yes. Yeah, so where it
So-
starts, where there is a maximum of 2 sub-permittees. Yeah, down. Yeah, because what the statutory law allows is the Game Commission to create a permit to allow for this.
Okay.
That language up there is what the agency created to perform that permit.
And so under this slide, the property has to be open for public access programs for 2 years with those exceptions of 5C and 5D. However, on your previous slide where the farmer would be shooting deer on his own, that provision is not in there. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Going on to ag tags. Now, the ag tag is was formerly known as the red tag up until a couple years ago. Agricultural producers can enlist licensed hunters to remove antlers deer outside of the regular deer season. So this is during the summer months and then late winter time period into spring, August 1st through September 15th, and then again February 1st through April 15th. As I go through the ag tags, these are all regulatory in mind. These are not statutory, therefore the board could take action if they chose to change or add anything to it. Application again is through the local game warden. This is a voluntary program and is in similar fashion to DMAP in that an eligible person qualified under section 2121C, which is where you get the definition of person, may enroll in a program and receive 1 coupon per 5 cultivated acres under their control. The applicant can then grant up to 4 coupons to each licensed hunter to be redeemed for an antler's license to hunt only on the property for which the coupon was allocated for. Again, we want this on that specific property. We want those antlers deer removed off of that specific property for this ag tag to work. This program differs in that season dates are exclusively outside of DMAP season, thus allowing the take of antlers deer nearly all calendar year long by licensed hunter if enrolled in both programs. Again, ag tag, you would think a lot of people would be jumping on this. Last year was reported 3,933 antlers deer taken statewide during that season. So we need to get the word out about these programs.
Jason, I have a question on that one real quick.
Yes.
With the two segments of the season, the August 1st and September 15th, do you know what the percentage in terms of the 39, 33 would be? I mean, is it 50-50, or do you have a sense of, you know, which segment of the season?
I do not know the answer to that, and I'm looking at the experts in the crowd, and they're. I'll have to get back to you,
Okay.
Commissioner.
All right, thank you.
Again, the ag tag, you can get these for $1.97 once you get the coupon. That's all that charges, and that is just the processing of the licensing program. DMAP. DMAP stands for Deer Management Assistance Program. DMAP permits are used during the regular deer season and using the same rules and regulations covering regular deer season. An example is the implements, the rifles, the ammunition, the orange requirements. It's just like hunting season, just with more tags. Landowners apply annually by July 1st. First-time applicants must apply on paper, but there is an online renewal option for subsequent years. We're trying to make this as easy as possible for landowners to sign up for this. Hunters are responsible for reporting harvests and no harvest. That way we can keep track of what exactly is working, what's not working, and then we can tweak it. By enrolling in this voluntary program with a management plan, farmers are eligible for 1 coupon per 5 deeded acres listed under the management plan. A licensed hunter may receive up to 4 DMAP coupons from the permittee to be redeemed for an antlerless license to harvest antlerless deer on only the property outlined in the management plan. This license allocation is outside and in addition to the annual Wildlife Management Unit specific antlers deer allocations for each licensed hunter. Okay, DMAP, last year we had a reported 14,352 antlers deer on DMAP properties. So again, I think we're missing the mark on this one as well. And the last one, hunting. Regular season regulated hunting by licensed hunter using antlerless and antlered licenses. Allowing properly licensed hunters access to property under your control during the open season for taking of that species, depending on what what big game season is in, can provide a free and desirable solution to alleviate wildlife damage through hunting. I would encourage those landowners who are having problems with deer to allow more hunting on their property. So, and again, going with the calculated deer harvest from last year, 171,600 antlered and 258,410 antlers deer for a combined total of 430,010. So, total deer harvest. So, that's it for my summation.
Jason,
Yes.
Before you leave the stand, I do want to make a group statement from all the commissioners to read into the record in consultation with all of you. Then we can open up for questions. So what I'd like to address is this spring and summer, commissioners, I think all of us, took part in several, if not dozen, meetings with the agricultural community to hear directly about how wildlife, particularly deer, are affecting their farms. The message was clear to us. They need help in addressing the damage that deer are causing to their crops and livelihoods. To the members of the agricultural and farming community, I want to say we heard you loud and clear, and we take your concerns very seriously. We recognize the critical importance of agriculture to our state, and we have a responsibility to find effective solutions to the challenges they are facing. As we prepare for our next meeting, which is January, we will be reviewing several ways in which the commissioners can take meaningful steps to help address the issue. We have asked Steve and the staff to look at and seek input from all constituents on how we do this. To the farming and agricultural community, we request and value your input in this process. We look forward to fulfill our mission of managing wildlife on behalf of all Pennsylvanians. Thank you. So is there any particular questions that Commissioner has of Jason? That was very good. Thank you all. Okay, thank you, Jason. The next item on the agenda is the meeting dates for next year, which will be published here soon. But the meeting dates for next year for our 4 quarterly public meetings are January 24th, 25th of 2025, April 11th and 12th of 2025, July 11th and 12th of 2025, and September 12th and 13th of 2025. There's an item on the agenda for executive session. I don't believe there's a need for any executive session today. So with that, I'd like, Mr. Secretary, if you call the vote for adjournment. Before you do that, thank you all for participating and have a great day. Mr. Secretary, call for adjournment.
President Fedora,
Yes.
Vice President Mr. Fredericks,
Yes.
Alan DeMarco, yes. Stan Knick,
Yes.
Kristen Copenhager,
Yes.
Michael Mitrick,
Yes.
Todd Pride,
Yes.
Haley Sankey,
Yes.
and Robert Schwalm.
Yes.
All yeses.
Thank you. Meeting stands adjourned. Have a great day.